Hey guys, Artosis here, bringing you game number 5 of the Ultimate Battle. That is a 9-game series, no matter what the score, and it is between Motive and it is between Scan. If you haven't seen those first 4 games, you should probably go check them out. Of course, you don't have to. It's almost like it's kind of fresh start here because right now we're tied up 2-2. It's been a very close series, a lot of early engages and everything. Been very much fun, and let's get in here to game number 5. Now, the map is Goodnight. I think it's a pretty good map for this matchup. There's a lot of like dynamic positions that can occur. There's a little bit of buildable terrain in the center. The bases are kind of cut up into 4 base quadrants, but with plenty of attack angles on them. There are high ground switches throughout the map, you know, going up and down ramps, but not too many, right? Not so many that you look at and say, well, you're never going to be able to attack. So yeah, I've been liking Goodnight so far, but I feel like it's one of the maps that we've actually seen the least in professional play, and honestly on the ladder as well. I think it's for some reason it's like vetoed a lot or something. Not sure why yet, but maybe this series will help us point in the correct direction to answer that question. Now, of course, before we get started, guys, I want to thank you for checking out my casts here on ArtosisCasts. Please subscribe. And yeah, hit that notification button. I really appreciate it. I've been working very hard on it, and we'll continue to do so. We're getting a lot of feedback from people, such as a lot of people seem to like the Carbot skins. Maybe I'll do 1 or 2 games a month on that, but not too often, right? This right here is a StarCraft we all know and love. Although I definitely do agree somewhat about some of the ideas people had about visual clarity with the Carbot skin, how it's actually quite clear what's going on. But honestly, you get used to this and you can pretty much see everything except for lurkers under Darkswarm. Okay, so we are starting to get into it now. No Zealot being produced. Out comes the Scout from Scan. It does look like it'll probably just be a factory expansion here for Motive. Like, I mean, I imagine that he's just going to go for a Nexus after a Dragoon or 2. Pretty standard stuff. It looks like he will end up scouting Scan first, a little bit later on that scout. But Scan, we'll see if he does the end scout, which is so common in this match. If he does, of course, you'll be finding him pretty quickly. First Marine comes out, and we'll run into this probe right away. The probe actually puts a couple hits onto the Marine. And as long as it gets away, I guess that's completely fair. That's completely fine. You do want to be careful, though. No reason to lose that probe, and 2 hits, that's going to make it so that the Dragoon can now 3 hit the Marine instead of 4, so that's kind of nice. Okay, Dragoon range as well as a Dragoon coming out. That factory expand is coming. The 3rd Marine going to be popping out here shortly. He does have the double depot all done. And I'm kind of waiting to see if Scan is going to throw an SCV down the ramp to maybe make a bunker, but his SCV gets over here, sees the timing of that Nexus, so gonna run away before that Dragoon can catch him. And now that he sees the Nexus time, of course, he can look at that and say, okay, we can just go ahead and throw down the command center very quickly. Don't think he can really put any pressure on, but with the Vulture coming, definitely can run that around and possibly poke its head in a little bit later. Now, this Dragoon really going crazy trying to catch a Marine, and in the meantime, this probe sneaks right in. Very well done by that probe. Sees the Vulture, so immediately this Dragoon going to get pulled back into position. You don't want that Vulture running by, but that does end up saving the SCV for Scan as well. Very nicely done. Now, Robo on the way. And, oh, he canceled. Okay, so I believe what we had here, it was a cancel on the range upgrade from Motive to get the Robo up a little bit quicker. I think it's likely that he'll go into Reaver, but it doesn't have to be that way. Now, that being said, I just saw Scan cancel mines and start speed. Okay, that's really interesting, because if you open up with the Vulture before the add-on and then go speed, it takes a long time to actually get your speed upgrade done. Like, his speed upgrade isn't going to be done until like 5:15 to 5:30. So that's pretty late into the game. We'll see if he can actually sneak those Vultures in and get some damage done. There is a shuttle on the way. Looks like it is, in fact, going to be that fast Reaver. Academy coming up here for Scan. And more Vultures coming out as well. So, I mean, anytime you can get away with speed first, it's obviously very good. Now, look, the wall is starting to be made, but if he can get in here and slip under, this could be game-altering damage. The amount of probes that you can actually kill off so early in the game if you do get speed vultures in, the Dragoons just have such a hard time chasing that stuff down. Now, the Reaver is being made. There is a single Zealot out, another Zealot being made as well. And here we go. Is he going to be able to get in? Oh, he sneaks in right there. This is a huge moment for Scan. Already kills one probe. Let's see how many he can actually end up getting. Another couple probes go down. Look at this. This is gigantic, gigantic damage. Oh my God. Already 7 or 8 probes falling. Still 3 vultures alive. Takes the one very damaged one, kind of runs it around. Trying to get something done with these vultures, but I like that block. Also, making a little bit of a wall here. No more vultures coming. If there were 2 more vultures that came down, this would be like infinity damage. But as is, he's picking off Zealots. He knows exactly what's happening. Huge advantage right now for Scan. No question about that. So finally, everything gets cleaned up. Yeah, as it comes down, the remaining vultures, the Reaver will kill them off. He does have shuttle speed on the way for some possible counter damage. Dragoon's range gets started up once again. But really, at the end of the day, that was like he killed a couple of Zealots as well as 8 probes, was it? 9 probes, maybe? Something like that. But it's huge. You can see that reflected in that SCV versus probe count. 36 against 28. So that is an 8 worker advantage right now. Up comes the shuttle, but we don't have siege quite yet. So that is a little bit of something that Scan did give up in this situation. Now, with those turrets coming up, it doesn't look like the shuttle can really get in. Oh, he's going to try to pop those Marines. Yeah, really nice scarab there. A little bit sloppy from Scan having those all together, but he pushes out the shuttle, and that's the important part for now. Now, it is a speed shuttle, so one turret is not going to be something that completely stops it. It definitely can go around that. The eBay coming out, sees speed finish on the shuttle now. Tries to come back in. Going to see what he can end up picking off. Not sure it's going to be too much right now. Yeah, just putting some damage onto this depot. Hey, ends up killing a depot. Very nicely done. Okay. So 5. It's kind of funny because it's not as good a deal as you would think. That's 75 minerals of scarabs to kill that depot. But obviously the supply block and the annoyance of having to build it again do make it very worthwhile for the Protoss. But still, it's a little bit expensive. Okay, let's take a look where Motive is at. He's adding 2 more gates after his command center, or his nexus rather, at this 3rd base. Some speed vultures still out here running around. We don't have mines yet, right? Like, I think he's skipping that for now. You don't really need mines against Reaver builds as much. You know, obviously they're on the Reaver tech and they're going to be producing heavily out of the Robos. The couple speed vultures just kind of hitting that wall. The pylon that blocked them does end up getting canceled. They're going to run away past that 3rd base at the mineral only. In the meantime, we have Scan getting his armor. He has added a couple more factories here as well, throwing down some more turrets. Looks like he's very, very safe defensively, but it looks like he wants to maybe get offensive here as well. He might be feeling like Motive is playing a little bit too greedily, right? Like, Motive lost 8 probes and 2 Zealots at the very beginning. His Reaver hasn't done anything. Now, he still has the Reaver. He still has speed shuttles, and that's hard to attack into. So I'm actually personally very interested to see how an attack like this will go. 6 tanks is a very healthy number for a mid-game attack. 4 factories pumping vultures, as well as a 5th on the way. Looking good for Scan. +1 not yet started, so maybe a little bit of a mistake there. Also, he's actually remade a bunch of Marines. Oh my God, 3 of them instantly die to a Scarab. So that is a bit painful when you went through all that money to rebuild that. Now, laying some mines here actually behind the Reavers is kind of a funny play, but you can see that the speed shuttle with Reavers doing such a good job of slowing this push down. It's very difficult indeed to push against Reaver tech, especially with speed shuttles. And you can see that the Reavers are actually kind of demolishing everything. This was 6 tanks and a lot of vultures with 4 Marines. And it has been whittled down to 2 tanks. And that's the main problem, is he has 1 add-on, and tanks take a long time to make and a long time to walk down. So the attack suddenly has lost so much of its muscle. Now, laying down a few mines here as he tries to poke in. The Reaver going to come out and does get picked immediately. That was great from Scan. I think that was actually maybe a target fire there. Not entirely sure. Or maybe the Dragoons got pulled too far out, because it looked like he was trying. The tank was looking to shoot up here because it kind of starts to turn its head. but then it instantly flicked over and killed that Reaver, which is such a strong moment. Okay, I love that right there. Oh my god, and he actually didn't take the mine damage as well. Perfect mine drag. Vulture's getting in now. Is Motive going to take massive damage here at his third base? The mines look fantastic. Going to blow up a Dragoon there. Also getting some of these probes. Going to drop some more off behind. The siege tank still in here doing a little bit of damage, but only to a pylon right now. Let's look at this rally reinforcement. 4 vultures and a siege tank at a time out of those 5 factories. 6 factory on the way, as well as a starport. Scan really keeping that pressure on, but his tank count is extremely light. You can see his gas bank going really high up because he is basically right now, he's trying to reinforce as quickly as he can, and vultures just, they build quicker and they move so much quicker. So this is the way that you can keep the most pressure on, but of course your gas is going to spike up quite a bit here. He doesn't have a whole lot else going on. It looks like he is getting up towards starting some more upgrades. Well, actually, he has the starport, but he actually never started +1, so maybe a bit of a mistake there as well. Now, Motive coming over for that break, dropping out a Zealot, dragging a mine. The tanks are actually getting some great connections, but as a Zealot and Reaver come out here, this is going to be very hard to keep this push going. I think the push is just about over with this. There go 2 of the tanks. Oh, the mines actually get a great connection here onto a Dragoon, but you see cannons starting to be added in. Like, Motive has plenty of money. It's just about the overall pressure that Scan is keeping on. Oh my god, the mine drag gets the last siege tank. More vultures coming. There is another siege tank, but he's got to get more add-ons. Yeah, we see he's added an additional add-on during all of this. Science facility is underway, but just +1 attacks started now, so that was definitely a big mistake from Scan. That was something he could have afforded. He had the armory for a long time. Just, you know, that happens to the best of us in Brood War. Now, Scan's still trying to keep that pressure on, but Motive is going to get a very large army very soon, and there's not a lot of staying power in what Scan is doing. See, like, it's so many vultures kind of clumped up protecting the small amounts of siege tanks. Oh, wow. The high ground mine, so strong. But yeah, that means that the Reavers can get great hits off at that point, but Scan continues to macro down. You can see has approximately the same amount of army supply, but again, right, the cannon here, the Zealots running in, here comes a Reaver on top of everything, and these Reaver Scarabs, ooh, he actually kills one of them off there very nicely, gets another Scarab off, no more siege tanks left, except for these 2 out here, continuing to push up and try to clear this. Scan trying his best to make this still work. Now the shuttle going to go across the map a little bit. Interested in exactly what the plan is for this very red Reaver in there. Motive with a lot of gateways right now. Getting that +1. Scan, of course, has his +1, about the same amount done. Third base on location. Still sitting on 6 factories. I think that's going to be enough factories for him for a very long time. Ooh, trying to drag that in, but not quite successful. In comes a Wraith as anti-air, but immediately targeted down there from Motive, who will finally crush through the remnants of Scan's army. Now, that being said, still more vultures over here. Scan has just been so rabid, and you can see this kind of reflected in that worker count. Still up here, 4 workers for Scan. 4th base started, though. You can kind of feel that the attack has been waning for a bit. The power of it overall has been dropping for quite some time. So the second there's no units attack him, Motive takes this 4th base. I think that's a brilliant idea. Another Wraith out here kind of waiting for a shuttle to try to do some sort of counter drop. As his 3rd base getting set up. Double add-on right now. Still going to be very low on siege tanks for quite some time. I honestly wouldn't mind a 3rd add-on. Not that you want to consistently necessarily build out of the 3 add-ons, because then your vultures will be very low, but honestly getting like a couple rounds of tanks out of an additional factory could be really strong here. It's just a very low tank count, as you can see, for this part of the game, right? At this moment, you could, like in a regular game, obviously this has been highly aggressive, but just to put it in perspective, you could have, you know, obviously a maxed out army right now with a normal game without all that aggression, with like, I'm talking 20 siege tanks. So, yeah, very low on that right now. Now, a little suicidal Reaver drop comes in. Good pull away. The Wraith was there to help out a little bit, and it looks like really no damage done. A little bit of lost mining. What, a turret went down. That's about it. I guess the Reaver wasn't going to scale all that much anyways. Not too many players like Reavers at this portion of the game when your supply gets this high, the static D gets this high, right? Motive isn't Snow, so he's not probably going to build any more Reavers this game if I had to guess. Okay, so the setup from Scan. This is the best attack spot for Protoss because it's the widest, and all this terrain here is unbuildable. So you can't have things like turrets or anything. You can't put depots in the way, anything like that. Very hard to attack in through here. You can attack down that way, but obviously you see there's some good defense set up. So let's take a look where Motive wants to go. He is up like 30 supply, but I don't think he's going to break Scan here, honestly. Scan has been macroing very regularly. That's a good Reaver drop, though. Get some good damage onto some of these tanks. Oh, my God. Another Scarab there. Kills 3 of them. And suddenly the math is turning, I think, into Motive's favor slightly. Get some siege tanks down onto these tanks over here. He's going to clear the ones up on the high ground. His Zealots not really doing much of anything right now. They do start to run down. Scan pulling his SCVs over and getting in front of some of these Zealots. So he will start to lose some of his economic advantage. Not too much as of, yeah, good split there as the Zealots run in, getting on top of this last siege tank. You can see those siege tanks really being erased. Only a few remaining. SCVs starting to really fall now. This area just so tough to defend against Protoss, as you saw, right? You can't build turrets or anything there. So we saw those tanks just blown up. A beautifully targeted Reaver. Now, Motive running back, targeting down this third command center. In the meantime, it looks like we do have a Vulture drop in this fourth base, so that's kind of some nice counterplay. But if Scan loses this CC, I don't know that there's any way for him to catch back up in this game. Felt like he was in an okay spot for quite some time. Okay, he does save the command center. So important. Now let's see what Motive can do here. You can see Scan seeing exactly what Motive had in mind with those mines. Targets his own mines down. Such an important move to do as a Terran player in this matchup. Now, the command center is pretty badly hurt. We don't have defenses set up in this area. Does Motive have an army that can attack it again? He does, but it's not really moving out right now. Scan immediately getting out on the map with his Vultures, trying to lay some mines. This should slow any incoming attacks slightly, but the supply advantage is much larger this time. It was a 30 supply advantage from Motive during the last attack. We're up to about 45 army supply advantage, right? So that's pretty significant. And once again, the siege tank count has been heavily reset. Okay, we're on 8. It's not the worst, and he has Goliaths this time, so that's going to help out against shuttles. That being said, the Zealots are going to have a better time against it. The Vultures are very low in count. They are relaying some of these mines. This is a very choked up area to attack into. One of the few times the ComStat helps you defensively as a Terran player, but definitely will here, adding to that wall. Motive kind of prancing around, getting rid of mines that he can. Let's take a look down here. Motive taking a 5th base location. We have Arbiter Tech coming up. 1 forge spinning, stasis as well. Okay, and yeah, gets that second forge going as well for those 2-2 upgrades. We already do have 2-1 for Scan, but hasn't started his 3-2 as of yet. His economy honestly is super low right now. This is all of his minerals, guys. This is 6 mineral patches. That's not even really a full 1 base. So that's really rough. He is hurting now. Down about 50 supply. Takes a good setup with his siege. I don't think Motive will attack quite yet, but yeah, okay, so Scan gets down his 4th command center now. You can see the relief on these SCVs as they flood in to mine those minerals up. Probably wants to take that gas relatively soon as well. Did make those 3 add-ons that I was talking about, getting that siege tank count way back up. 3-3 on the, or 3-2 rather, on the way here for Scan, which is going to be incredibly important as we move forward. And here we go, an attack in right now. Picks off that shuttle super fast, so that was very well done. No other splash damage. I don't like this attack very much for Motive. Now, he is ahead economically by quite a bit, so maybe that plays into it a little bit. But honestly, when I see this attack, after that shuttle was picked off, was this good? I guess he is still at 50 supply. You can see the power of that economy, but the attack itself not doing super well. Was efficiently destroyed, but now look at this small group of Zealots coming up with the Arbiter, remaining cloaked as Scan micros against this attack up into his 4th base. So I feel like this definitely made that initial kind of less efficient attack pay off, and this might actually be the end of the game at this point. Losing these tanks to the Zealots, the fact that he can't really field another big army here, Scan can't. It would take a very long time, and the tempo of Motive now is just too high. It's just too high. I think we're going to be seeing GG momentarily. Yeah, I mean, take a look at the production. Not very good. The Arbiter's coming out that's gonna open up a whole new can of worms. Whether it's recall, whether it's stasis. Now we're up 60 army, or a 60 supply total. It's about 40 army supply. But the problem is, look at the army. There's so few vultures in it. It's like tanks, vessels, and a handful of vultures. So that's kind of the problem, right? Like you need a big group of tanks, but then you need a ton of other stuff to protect it, and he just doesn't have that ton of other stuff. So Motive getting into position for what I believe will be the killing blow here. Comes out with his Arbiter. Okay, that's a great stasis. Gets the vessel, gets a couple of the siege tanks in the front. Tanks gonna start pelting these goons that come up from the wrong angle. Now here we go, Motive coming in. And stasises go down. Yeah, he is going to clear out basically everything Scan has here. Only a few mines at that expansion. And even if Scan can eventually clear out this army, another one's coming. And then another one's coming. That's going to be it. GG. Motive takes the lead in the ultimate battle.